Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Oh, yay.
We can all hear you.
Wait, yes, you don't hear me? Well, Anne's in the next room. She can hear me. Oh, Elizabeth, you're here. Yay. You can play us a song to get started. You've even got your guitar. No hiding behind that black box now. Come on. Oh, can you unmute Elizabeth, Ann? Oh, thank you. Hi, Terry. You made it. That's pretty awesome.
Hey,
Not an
Michael.
ideal time for you. And look, we have sleeping Mookie over there in Joe's mobile office. You better keep muted. All right. Welcome, everyone. Duty, can you hear us? I'm wondering. So I really wanted to get somebody to play a song to start today, but I didn't get anybody's yet. Okay. We'll wait another moment here. Oh, 16. Anne, why don't you unmute at least so I can at least hear somebody?
I'm here.
Thanks. It's like kind of quiet over here, you know? I like the picture of the dog too. That's a good one. Could ask the dog to unmute. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody, today. Thanks for being here. It's way too nice a day here to be in on a Zoom call. So appreciate you all coming. We've had a big couple of days actually, and I'll start by giving a little update on that. Thursday night, first of all, any of you don't know me or haven't met me, my name is Michael. Okay, people are still coming in. Let's give them another minute here. It looks like Elizabeth bailed as soon as I told her she had to sing a song. All right. So I'll tell you a little bit about what's happened in the last few days, which has been really good things happening here. Thursday night, we had our city-sponsored neighborhood meeting. So this is the chance for the neighborhood to see our preliminary plans and for them to provide feedback. Okay, people are still coming in. So Ann, do you see those admits or is that only me?
I see him.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna let you take care of them. So, anyway, it's always a little bit of a nail biter to see what's going to happen when you get in a big group of people, and you know, our engineers prepared us for the worst. Fortunately, it was not on. It was on a Zoom call, so people can't throw tomatoes, at least on a Zoom call. And they didn't actually. It was quite very reasonable meeting, and we understood people's concerns, and they were very they were kind mostly about the project, even though not enthusiastic about seeing more development in their neighborhood. So but it was respectful and a good opportunity to just share with our neighbors. And it was kind of nice because we presented our sort of vision for what's trying to happen there. And the first person who spoke was just very spontaneously shared that she was pleasantly surprised at all the wonderful things that were designed into this effort, you know. So that was nice to hear. And then of course people have concerns, and they're legitimate concerns about various things, traffic being a main one. Although to be honest, that is the main thing we are trying to change about how we live together. is we're trying to change the dependence on the automobile and trying to get people more walking more of the time. And this property is really well situated for that. The location and the way we're designing it will be very, very conducive to people staying on foot. And you know, the whole effort of the new urbanism movement is revolves around this idea that when we switch to cars, we lost something valuable about how we relate to each other spontaneously. That people walking around on a campus will develop relationships in a wholly different way and more wholesome way than people getting into their cars from their garage and driving to all the destinations of their lives. So anyway, I do think that that biggest concern, we are trying to address it as best we can. Okay, I think we've got everybody in here. Oh, Ann, are you
Oh,
catching?
sorry. Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Yeah, really appreciate everybody being here today. It is a gorgeous day in Fort Collins, hard to be inside, but we really wanted to give the opportunity for people to catch up with our process, hear the latest happenings, and also be able to ask questions. So I'll talk for maybe 15, 20 minutes, and if people have questions, we can answer questions, and we'll go no more than an hour, probably much less would be my guess today.
Michael, it looks like there's some new people here.
Okay. Good to know. And nice to have you here and meet you. My name is Michael, and Ann, who is also on the screen there, and I started Polestar Gardens 22 years ago. And you probably know at least some of our story if you found your way to this link. But today we're here to get an update on the project and talk about the investment scenario and situation we're in. I'll finish my update about this week though. So we had our neighborhood meeting on Thursday night, which I thought went pretty darn well. It was respectful and mostly kind, and if not always in agreement, it was at least civil. So we will do our best to field our neighbors' input and integrate it into our plan, or do our absolute best to do that. And I think this is the sort of thing of over time, we will demonstrate that we're good neighbors. No, that is our intention, So then the second thing that happened this week, which was very fun, I just happened to slip a note into the reminder about this weekend that we were going to have some people working in the garden on Saturday morning. And we figured, we'd have, I don't know, a handful of people, but a dozen people showed up to work in the garden, which was really great. We just had a really, really beautiful morning there. It just, for me, so much of this process has been cerebral, planning and thinking and writing and meeting and I'm really much more of a doer than a thinker. And so it was great fun for me to be out there with a weed whacker and beautifying the property, and we mowed the lawn, and it just looks beautiful out there, which paved the way for later that day at 4 in the afternoon. We had our first of what will be our monthly group potlucks, and we had over 40 people show up for our first potluck, which we're really happy about. Including 8 families, kids of all ages. And so this was really, really a fun evening. It was a beautiful day, a beautiful sunset. The kids were all playing Frisbee and volleyball, and great food, and people meeting each other for the first time, and meeting old friends as well. We have a dear friend from Polestar visiting. Dorian, who's in the room next door here, is 84 years old and lived at Polestar about 8 years. And she was there when the lava came. And of course, we all had to leave, and she was one of the first to leave, and just had to go find somewhere sane to live. the lava was erupting at, less than a mile away, and the earth was shaking, and the glass was rattling. It was not a sane place to be, but anyway, it's just great to have her back here visiting for 4 or 5 days, and it was fun to be able to share her with everybody else who came to the meeting. She has lots of great stories and is a very, very live wire. So she was visiting too. So yeah, to me, it was just, I'm not sure it gets any better than it was Saturday night, honestly. The kids are playing, the adults are having a good time. It's a beautiful evening. There's a feeling of connectedness and fun and enjoyment of each other's presence. And it's just what the kind of work we came here to do. And so really, really appreciative of everybody who came that evening, and that was our first one. So we're feeling very positive right now about, we all knew this was an ambitious project, but right at the moment, it just feels like it's striking a lot of people as common sense to try to get back to living well with each other, to living in harmony with the earth, to grow food, to have a spiritually supportive environment. I think the more and more of us are seeing this as a very, very common sense. I was telling somebody, as we had the city a couple of months ago sponsored what they call a charrette. A charrette is a intensive planning session where you get typically architects and designers, and there were quite a few at this meeting. But in this case, it was also about the energy use of the community. So we had this whole group of people here, most of which didn't really know much about Polestar. But I did my little spiel, and it was very fun because within about 10 minutes of talking to everybody, the extent to which they got the vision was amazing, because it was like they were telling us what the vision was. It was like the people understand it on some intuitive level that this is in our DNA. To and it's very fun and satisfying to see people sort of adopt it and make it their own. And that's certainly the idea here, is that people who resonate with this concept will come together and cooperate to build it and create it. So the potluck was just delightful, and we'll do that once a month if you're not in town. But if you're ever in town, you can plan on attending. And if you are in town, we'll get you the schedule. The next one isn't actually nailed down yet, but it'll probably be at about this time next month. So please come if you can. So the next thing I wanted to do quickly is recap the investment scenario we have here. And you could call what we're doing here crowdfunding, or more technically, it's peer-to-peer lending. So basically, our financial strategy for creating this community, normally it would be a developer who would have all kinds of resources to bring to bear on this, and they would have to put up a lot of money for a long period of time, which we also have to do. But they would get it partially from banks and partially from their own equity. In our method, and we've done this successfully before, we're working with a large group of people who will each put in what they can. And so at this point, we have contributions ranging from $5,000 to $250,000. And the idea is that it's a loan to the nonprofit that allows it to do the development process that we're in. It's really about a 2-year process, and we're about a year into it. So we hope that this time next year, we will either have our entitlements or be very close to having our entitlements, so that we can break ground sometime next summer. So, and the way it works, just to recap it briefly, many of you already know, and many of you have contributed. but I'll recap it briefly. For now, it's just a loan to the nonprofit that can invest it in this entitlement process, and it's a 4% loan, 4% rate of return, and a 4-year term. And so, barring any other eventuality, in 4 years you get all your money back with interest. And now there's one slight change in that, though, which is that when the lots and the building products become available, which would be more in about 18 months, you can convert that loan to an investment in the lot or the building product. And not only can you convert it, but your contribution of that loan puts you in the queue, so to speak, of being able to pick your lot or building product. So I'm going to go into all the details of that, but I do want to emphasize this point because this is important. I'm starting to think this thing will be sold out by the time we're ready to build. Honestly, I don't think it's that far off. We've been warned by other developers that once we have lots available, they are going to go fast. And actually, our realtors say that there are no lots left in Fort Collins. They keep saying that. So this is not a happy situation, but it is because, as you know, the inflationary factor on many levels of our society is really onerous right now, and especially in real estate. So for us, it's a little bit of a two-edged sword. The inflation has really secured the project financially in a way, which is a good thing, but it's also made the attainable / affordable housing goal and value harder to meet. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword. The good news is, we have a good product and we have a scarce product, and that does add up to getting the finances to work, getting the bank to understand that there's value here, and getting all the things we need to sort of work together to make sense. So it's a fairly technical financial undertaking, and I would say, generally speaking, it's going well. We not only have a lot of people who want to invest, and quite a few who already have, but we have 3 or 4 other ways that we can finance this, we believe, and we're working on all those. But by far our favorite way would be to do it with those who really want to live here and want to support this vision. So we really want to encourage people. And this is my main job right now. So if you're interested, or if you have questions, or you want more information, please call me. I can put my number on the chat there, and I post it. So this is the main thing I want to do. The big picture is that we needed to raise about 3.8 million, and inflation has probably brought that up already closer to 4. And we've already raised about 2.2 of that. So it's coming along. It has slowed down a little bit in the last couple of months, but the interest has increased quite a bit also in the last couple of months. So I've got a whole new group of people I'm talking to. Lots of them are interested. I think there's a very, very good chance we can do it through the peer-to-peer lending approach. Some of you will remember that our intention was to sign up for a portal last month and start taking our contributions through a portal, which is a crowdfunding platform is what they really call it. And that was our intention for many months. But as we really dialed into the details of all that, we didn't find it would be helpful enough and affordable enough. Basically, they wanted around 9%. That seemed a lot. And so we decided that because we're sort of doing our own portal and we have a legal and reasonable method to do it, we were not going to go through the portal. They do accomplish certain things for you that are helpful, but in a fundraising campaign for donations, a crowdfunding approach and a portal make more sense. In this case, it's peer-to-peer lending, and it just proved to be way more expensive than we really wanted to afford. And so, we have our own securities lawyer. We have a plan to keep all the securities laws intact and followed. So that's all in place. And we're going to just do it ourselves and save 9%, which I think is worthwhile. So I wanted to, in case you were wondering whatever happened to the portal, that's what happened. We're sort of doing it just through our own methods now. Yeah, that's a little bit of real quick synopsis of the the fundraising and the where we are in that process. And maybe I'll take a few questions on that right now, because then I'm going to change topics and say a few other things about a couple other things. So before I go on, does anybody, and you can raise your hand, okay, and admit. Oh, I got it. Does anybody else have any other questions? Okay, I got somebody connecting to audio. Or thoughts or anything to share about any of that. Questions about anything I've said so far, I'm happy to. So we have 2 participants with raised hands. Let's go, Jennifer.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a very demanding set of responsibilities, and I haven't been able to come out there and connect. I wanted to be at the garden event, and I've wanted to meet with someone and just walk around and talk about things. I did make it to the kirtan last
nice.
Saturday.
Great.
But I didn't stick around and talk to anybody. I got all shy. So
you're doing pretty good right now.
Well, this is easier because we're not in person, but I've been interested for years in the whole co-housing concept, and I have a good friend at Grey Rock that told me that Polestar was beginning a community here. So I've looked you up online and gotten connected to the newsletter, and I'm very interested in the development of the community and in getting to know people in it. I'm wondering about, are you planning to only have units for people who have invested into it, who have bought it, or are you going to make any rentals available? I'm wondering about that, and I'm wondering if you have looked at the possibility, especially for like elder housing, and you had some kind of vision about.
You bet. No, I can speak to both of those.
Place. If you've thought about government subsidies for rentals for people who really can't invest thousands of dollars in what you're doing, but want to be part of it and have a lot to contribute. That's not financial, but maybe have things to contribute to the community. So those are the things I'm wondering about right now.
Okay, thank you. Very good questions. And it's a little bit my next topic, but I'll say a few things about it now. First of all, the answer is yes, we are hoping to have quite a few rentals. That is, we have a whole investment scenario that could include ownership and rentals. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit. And then virtually all of our downstairs units are designed as age-in-place units. the county, I mean, the city mandates a certain amount of accessible units, but we are also going above and beyond that. And this is something we decided years ago when we were building Polestar in Hawaii. We were going to just make everything accessible, you know, or at least easy to be made accessible, because the flexibility there is very helpful. So so yes, and on top of that, our current working vision of our elder care facility or elder living facility, which is a separate building from even all these age in place units that are on the ground floor, combines elder living with a preschool. And this model of this combination has been gaining traction in the States, and there's about 100 of them now. And we've been talking to people who run them and learning about them, and they're in the same building. They function separately, so you can keep them separate as you'd need to do some of the time, much of the time, maybe even. But it's very easy to also combine them, and they're finding that very mutually helpful and uplifting and connecting, you know. So let's see, did I get all your questions or did I miss one? Oh, government subsidies. So government subsidies are a two-edged sword. And we have been looking into them, and we aren't done looking into them. We're still exploring them. In fact, you know, what we could really use is somebody who's got energy and wants to really plumb the depths of all their programs so we can understand them better. Because, but a little bit the problem is you get entangled with government stuff, you know, and that can be a bit of a headache. So might be worth it though. We're sort of we haven't given up on it, but it is you know, not a no-brainer, as we say. So did that cover 3 questions? I'm going to go into more detail about the rentals in a little bit here.
Yes, thanks for addressing all of those.
Oh, you're very welcome, and thanks for being here. All right, Terry, were you going to say something?
Yeah.
So I just had a question. So on the public meeting, was that just a first of a series, and how does that affect the project?
Well, it's a good question. The neighbors obviously have a right to offer input.
Yeah.
And the city's interest is that we listen to the input and do our best to integrate it into our plan, which is our intention. And that said, the city has a plan, and a long-term plan with zoning for this land. And all our proposals fit within that zoning. We aren't doing any zone changing. In fact, that was one of the first questions. Are you changing the zoning? No, we're not. Nothing. We aren't even asking for any, and I have some regrets about this, but we aren't even asking for any, what do they call it? Change of, oh gosh, change of standards, modification of standards. So, you know, like we could say, look, we're going to live differently than everybody else. So we don't want to follow this law or that law because we're going to do it differently, you know. And we aren't even proposing any modifications of standards. We're following their rules for development in this zone. Now, I should also add that a big part of the reason we bought this property is because of the zoning. It's very enlightened zoning. It's called LMN, mixed use zoning. And it acknowledges the fact that separating everything, every part of our life, so we have to drive from point A to point B to do every part of our life, is just not a good idea. And we never used to live that way. We always lived in villages that were compact, where all the functions of life were closer together, you know. So that is a big reason we bought this property, is because it had the proper zoning. As I've often said, the zoning laws read like our mission statement. You know, there's an acknowledgement that we missed something about how to build community when we separated all the functions of life into different places. And yeah, did that answer your question more or less, or was there a caboose on there anywhere? Okay, thank you. Yeah, good question. No, we're following there, and the biggest heartache for me is, I mean, the road is 35 feet, you know, it's like, and there's parking everywhere, you know, and it's just like, my goal is that we learn to live with less focus on the automobile. You know, it is just a huge cost, not only planetarily, but to each of us. You got to store it. You got to, you build space to have a garage, and you got to park it. And you got to have pavement. You know, it's a big environmental cost. And I think big changes are coming in transportation in the next 10 to 20 years. So, all right, who else? Was there any other questions? Yes, Supriya.
Yeah, Michael, I don't remember if this was something you talked about early on. If you did, sorry, I don't remember. But I'm just curious to know, how did you pick Fort Collins of, all of the vastness of the United States?
I know it is kind of random, and we had never been to Fort Collins either. That said, we absolutely love it here. We really do. But when everything burned up, we just thought we have, completely open minds. We looked at places on the East Coast. We looked at places in Arizona, in Oregon, California. We were just completely willing to find the right campus and go there.
We were offered places in Europe.
That's true. We even looked at places in Europe. Yeah, that would have been a fun adventure. But in the end, it was our connection with Dennis and Bailey, who ran and owned the Happy Heart Farm for 40 years. They invited us to come and see their farm. And I was sure it was going to be a farm in the middle of nowhere with no zoning and nothing we would ever be interested in. But we showed up and it was like, no, it was a farm, but it was in the city limits and it had this LMN zoning and it just checked all the boxes. So anyway,
so this is what the property was before, in other words. That's what
yes,
it was a Happy
exactly.
Farm.
And we've known them for 35 years, so they were a big part of what drew us here. All right, any other questions or comments?
Michael, Lee has her hand up.
Okay.
And so does Sharon.
Okay, let's go there. Lee Welch, fire away. And then Sharon, you can go next.
Hi, I would love to say hello to you and both Anne and yourself, rather. Okay, I'm a little confused about the age in place units and what that includes. Could you clarify? I'm not sure if that means the small apartments on the bottom, or if that includes both that and the townhouse above.
It varies by product. And so the answer is that we made every effort to make the downstairs especially accessible for aging in place. And if you go, if you haven't been to our website in the last couple of weeks, go again. This is polestarvillage.com. Somebody could put that on there on the chat, polestarvillage.com. And we've upgraded it quite a bit. It's really quite nice now. So check it out. And if you scroll to the bottom, you can click around on a map that'll show you a lot of different floor plans. And so you could learn more about it that way, Lee. And then there's 148 units. So there's a lot of options, or 146 units actually is where we are right now. There's a lot of options and many of them are age in place.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm specifically interested in the one, it's kind of lavender, it's an efficiency condo townhome garage. I'm wondering if that total shows a square foot of 415, a total of 1,085 or 85, I think. Is that sold? Is that, for instance, going to be sold as one unit?
Let's see. What's the letter on that unit? Are you looking at it?
I'm looking at it, but it's a printout from a little while ago.
Well, let me say that. Oh, so you're wondering, would it be sold
Condo.
together or?
Yes, yes, as
okay.
one price.
No, that is a good question. And that gets into my next topic, and I'll answer that in more detail. So let me table that one for a minute, because I'm going to try to explain something about our approach to housing ownership that will answer that question. So who else was next? There was one
Sharon.
more. Oh, Sharon, yes.
Hi, I'm new to your site. I was, Elizabeth Harper pointed it out to me. So, and I'm looking at the village right now. Thank you. My question is, I'm interested in healthy homes where electromagnetic fields and radio frequencies are, radio frequencies are reduced, or, like computers are wired and things like that. And also not having 5G antenna put up, right close to buildings. And I'm just wondering, what is your thought on that?
It's a really good question, and we have not dialed into that level of specificity yet, or details. I would say you are not alone in your concerns about that by a long shot, of people who want to live here. And so it'd be hard to believe that we wouldn't be addressing that out of everybody's interest.
Mm-hmm.
Many, many years ago, this would have been like 1985, we were into healthy building. We all bought EMF meters. So we were measuring electromagnetic fields like 40 years ago or more. It's kind of amazing. But no, I think there are some legitimate concerns there, and we are trying to build healthy houses. So, but I don't really have more information than that as yet. I would say you would not be alone in your interest in that topic, and it will also tie into my next topic. I'll mention.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Michael, Mohan has a question.
Okay, Mohan, unmute and fire away. I just met Mohan last night.
Did we lose him?
You there? You're unmuted. Okay, we're not hearing you though. Turn up your volume. Try that.
Yeah, okay, it was too
We'd
low.
love to see your smiling face too.
Yeah, let me try that. I need to undock my laptop. Okay. All right. Let me see whether
Oh,
All
there
right.
he is.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for all the information and other things. Yesterday was a great day at the farm. So basically, I've been following through the website and other things for the past month or so. There are a couple of things. One was, so you had mentioned that it's about 144 or 146 units are going to be there. So how many people have invested in this 2.2 million already? Number of people, approximately.
Yeah,
I mean,
number of people so far is only about a dozen.
Okay, okay. And how long do you think, it's basically teeing off of Terry's question too, how long do you think this, the meetings with the city will go on? I mean, probably it will go on for some more time, because the concerns may come up, and even in the design phase, some more meetings may go on. So how long do you think it will go on before the next year?
Yeah, we believe we're about 1 year away from entitlements, and our engineers have a schedule. Here's the neighborhood meeting, here's the next submittal, here's when the city replies, here's when we get back to them. It marches through the process,
Okay.
And it's not to say things couldn't hold us up, but we are very hopeful that we'll be hitting the ground running next summer.
Okay. Okay. Great. Great. Thank you. I think
Oh,
that's
you're
all
And
I
now
have.
Suzanne has a question.
Okay, Suzanne. You can unmute and fire away.
Yeah, let me just get my video working here. Here
Oh,
I am. Hi, Michael. Hi, Ann and Jim and everybody. I was out at the beautiful property yesterday for a couple hours and wasn't able to join you for the dinner. But I was going to save this question, but it's been coming up for me. I was wondering about the water situation. So I've heard different things. Is it city water? Is it a well? And who owns the water rights? And because that's a big thing in Colorado these days.
huge, huge.
And everywhere in the world, actually, it's a big thing. And I keep forgetting to bring it up. So I just thought of it and thought, since we have a mixture of questions here, I'd throw it out there and maybe you have an answer.
You bet. You bet. We have city water, and water is a huge deal, and having city water is a huge deal. We couldn't do this if we didn't have city water. That's for the potable side. But then you have the fact that we have this agrihood idea. We want to grow a lot of food and we want to make it green and beautiful, and we live in a desert. So we have purchased a half a share of the Pleasant Valley Water Company. And a half a share is 14.5 acre feet that we can draw out of the ditch that flows right by the property between May and October. So that punches our ticket to farming, basically. And that's not to say there couldn't be extreme drought that would affect us all, no matter where we live or what our water rights are. But as far as we are able, we have secured water rights that allow us to do everything we're talking about doing.
That's great information. Thank you.
Okay. And I just saw a question pass by on the chat. I'll address it quickly because we talked a lot about elders so far. Somebody was asking, well, are kids invited to this? And the answer is yes. And the Polestar was really begun. The seed inspiration for Polestar really was from the fact that Ann and I raised our kids in intentional community. And we saw how ideal that was to have your kids have lots of friends of all ages, to have aunties and uncles who are looking out for them, to have a safe environment, to have people who are present for them and their lives and their rites of passage and their evolution. And and I should mention there were 8 families at the potluck last night. And kids from 1-year-old to teenagers roaming around having a great time. And so no, we definitely want students of all ages, as we put it, as I've said before, it takes a village not only to raise a child, but also to have a place for all ages to connect and give and receive, to share their talents and also receive the benefits of others' contributions to community. So, all right, any other questions? All right, well, let me go on to this idea about housing. So,
Joe's raising his hand.
okay, Joe.
I don't have a raise my hand button.
Oh, okay.
But I just wanted to say, did you mention the 4 to 6% increase from the investment?
Oh, okay. I could mention that briefly. Thank you. Joe, getting back to the investment scenario, it's a 4% loan to the nonprofit. So that's the rate of interest. If you don't convert it to a house or building product, when those come available, you just get 4% back after 4 years, square deal.
4% per year.
Yeah, 4% per year. If you do convert it, the conversion rate is at 6%. So it's a little incentive to go ahead and convert. And it basically gives you a little higher rate of return for that, however long you had it you carried that loan with us. So thanks for that, Joe. All right, so let me go on to talking a little bit about housing in a little different context. Some of you may be aware, and if not, I'll explain it a little bit to you of well, we're all aware of what a solid investment housing is proving to be for people. People store their wealth in housing. They accrue wealth in housing, and as a result, there are many new investment schemes that allow people to invest in real estate. And I don't know if you're aware of these, but you could Google it. It's so there's all these different ways that people are sort of collaborating together to invest in real estate together. And in a way, this is what I propose we do to build, if not all of Polestar, probably not all of it, some percentage of it. And this ties in a little bit to the communities we've been associated with over the years. Ananda Village, Ananda Portland, Ananda Seattle, and other enterprises we've been aware of have worked on a collaborative ownership model called tenants in common. Some of you, that'll be a familiar term, and some of you may have not heard it, but it comes down to a way of holding real estate in a collaborative way with other investors. And what's very cool about how Ananda has done it is, it's done it very well, and it's also made mistakes and learned. But we can benefit from the learning experiences, and we can design our sort of legal structure in a way that allows us to co-own housing. And I'll give you a little idea how that would work. So let's say there's an apartment complex of 6 units, which there is quite a few of those at Polestar, or a handful of them, or more and less, actually. We could find 4 of our families and friends to go in on it together. And we could raise a certain amount of money by everybody putting in their down payment, and we could finance the rest from a bank to get it built. And then you'd have, let's say you have this 6-plex, I'm just throwing out a possible scenario, and you had 4 investors who are friendly with each other or know each other, or maybe they're family, maybe they're good friends, or maybe they just want to live at Polestar. So these 4 could go in on this 6-plex and get it built and have 2 rentals and 1 place for each of themselves to live. Or, and this is how it has worked at Ananda, people live there. If they live there, they don't pay rent, but neither do they get income from it. But if they don't live there, they move away or have to go away and it's rented, they get that income. So the TIC is kind of a creative model for people to collaborate around real estate ownership. There's a whole lot more to it, but I'd probably bore you to tears if I tried to get in it, and I'm not the expert anyway. But suffice it to say, there's ways to hold real estate that would be very helpful for Polestar and very helpful for individuals. And here's why. One of the rules we're really breaking in development, but as the Dalai Lama says, you got to know the rules so you know how to break them. let's hope we know how to break them. But one of the things that developers told us, not a lot of products. You got to have 1 or 2 products. Everything's the same. You want to make money, this is what you got to do. A number of our consultants told us that, and they're not wrong. It's a point of view that has merit. The problem with that is it is not conducive to the kind of diverse community that we really value and we really want to hold out for. So we're willing to break that rule. So we have everything from 410 square foot apartments, as Lee said, up to lots that will probably cost more than the whole apartment. So we have a wide range by design, and that way we can have a diverse community. Now let's talk about this sixplex, this theoretical sixplex. I could pick one off the map, but just in theory, there's a couple ways you could build a sixplex. So a sixplex is basically attached housing. You could make each of those an individual townhome. And that, from a development's point of view, is the simplest way to do it. It's the American way. People want to own their own home. They want to have hard boundaries around it. They want to know it's theirs, and they pay taxes on it, and they have their own everything. And so townhomes are actually, and we've got townhomes. We have checked that box. We are not, people who want that will find townhomes on the plan. That is a simple and well-worn economic path to home ownership, So that is definitely part of what we're doing. But one thing I'll point out is, if you have a sixplex and it's all townhomes, each of those, for example, has a hookup fee to the city of $50,000 for sewer and water. Right off the bat, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars for the hookups. Now you take that same sixplex and you call it something else, an apartment complex with a tenant's common ownership, for example, a condominium. It has a different legal ownership structure. You have one hookup fee for that complex. So you can see the path to affordability will be helped by collaboration and cooperation and being creative in how we own the building. So this is an ongoing process of, one, finding people's interest in collaborating, and two, sort of teasing out all the different ways that we can make houses as affordable as we can for people. So, so the idea would be, well, and then I should further mention, let's say we have a couple dozen people in this new Polestar community who are all willing to go in on a TIC, or it could be an LLC. There's different ways to do it. And we've got good lawyers now who are helping us, figure this all out. We could have several dozen people who would invest in the LLC or the TIC. And we would have this block of housing that was fluid, more affordable, worked for people if they wanted to live there, worked for people as an investment if they just wanted to support the project and live somewhere else. Is this making sense? People getting the basic idea of what we're shooting at here. So it's a much longer conversation to get into the details, but I wanted to get people chewing on the idea, because we have currently, I forget what the breakdown is right now, but the townhomes are easy to sell, easy to finance, no fuss, no muss. We know there's a big market for them. They will not be as affordable as the apartments that are owned more collaboratively. And it takes a little more work, a little more cooperation. But at the end of the day, you can have a much more affordable home, and the work doesn't scare us, and the cooperation is kind of what we got here. That's what we're trying to do, is cooperate and make life better by more collaboration and cooperation. So I wanted to, at least today, to introduce the concept of that, so people had it in their mind. The other thing that's really lovely about it is, let's say, you don't have hundreds of thousands to put into a house, but maybe you got 50,000. So you put in your 50,000 and you're in the pool that owns the TIC, that owns the apartment complex. Now you pay a reduced rent. So you are an owner, and you can pay a much reduced rent as a result of that contribution. So anyway, think about that a little bit. There's a lot more to the topic, and I'll mention two other aspects of it. One is, it is a goal of mine to have the nonprofit end up with a certain amount of ownership itself of homes, and it might just be that it has a stake in the TIC that everybody else is in, that the nonprofit is one of the owners in the TIC, so that the nonprofit would have units for staff, units for visitors, units for affordable housing. So that is one of my goals. I don't want to overdo it. We don't want to really have Polestar be a landlord in a huge sense, but having an income generation ability through rents, and having the ability to have staff is a big plus for the nonprofit in the long run. And then let's see, there was one other point there that slipped away. Okay, yeah, I think that's all. That's all I had about that, and something to think about. And we'll have a meeting further on down the road where we'll probably have the lawyers there too, and we can talk about this in much more detail. And you know, there's a lot of people thinking about, I mean, you know, you look at all the wealth, although everybody's getting hammered in the stock market right now, but you look at all the wealth that's been generated. I mean, it's a great thing. I'm happy for everybody. But we have some serious problems, you know. We have a lot of people who can't afford a house, you know, and so in my mind, if there are people willing to, you know, I get it that people have to generate wealth for themselves and their family, but there may be some of us who are willing or have enough wealth that they can put some of it into a sustainably affordable housing model. And this kind of thing could be that. It really could. You know, I think the every man and woman for themselves model is doomed or we're doomed in the long run. We've got to learn how to look at the big picture a little more, and you know, it's kind of the basic idea of building community. And you know, I've said before, you know, you think of 100 years ago, you know, there were some handful of people that were wealthy, but really your wealth was your community. It's your relationships. I don't really think that's gone away, you know, and it may come back to that more fully, you know. The you know, putting a bunch of money in the bank to have security wasn't really how it was done. It was really more about your relationships and your place in a community. That was your real wealth. And so anyway, big topic, and we are in strange times. You know, we're very, very strange, politically, environmentally, and now we got war going on, and so there's a lot of difficulty. I see people coming in right now. I'll bet they're in California and thought it was California time. I just let a few people in. Welcome. Didn't catch their name. So any comments or questions about all of that? Anybody have to share? I hope it made some amount of sense, even without getting into it too technically. That it's a creative way to try to get more of us affordably housed. And
Michael, can I bring up, I'm sorry, you didn't catch my chat
sure. Oh, I missed it.
a little bit earlier. I'm just wondering if you're actually talking about REITs Is that the same thing as you're talking
It
about? Are
is,
you familiar
you
with them?
know, that is, I'm not really familiar. I've heard that word in a real estate investment trust, and I have, and that is probably one of the ways that you can do this sort of thing. But I am not the expert. So I would say that this whole direction of co-owning real estate is extremely mainstream right now. I mean, I read about a new company that's doing it every week, it seems like. So this is not a bad idea from just a strictly practical point of view. It's a good idea, and many people are looking into it and taking, participating in it.
I've actually had some experience doing that, buying a property of my own many years ago.
Oh, nice. Okay, very cool.
So maybe we could talk about that later at a later time. Thanks for what you're doing, and thank you, and Ann and everyone for being here. Thank you. I'll mute.
All right, thank you, Lee. And so some of you just arrived, and I was guessing you were in California because you're an hour late. I always try to stop these meetings at an hour. Staring into a screen too long is hard, but I'm willing to sit here longer. And let's see, I'm going to mention a few other things. I'll re-mention that if you haven't seen our website lately, go to it. It's we're really happy with it. It's got some new pictures and new features, and does a much better job than we did before of explaining the vision. We're getting a lot of good feedback on it. One thing I'll mention is that we have essentially two mailing lists. One is our master list that includes everybody who's got a connection with Polestar, and we try not to send out anything more than once a month. We don't always succeed, but we try not to pester people, because some people are just our far-flung connections and supporters, and we don't want to bore them to death. But we also have a local newsletter, and we send things out more frequently. And if you live in Fort Collins, we put you on the newsletter list. But some of you who are far away might want to get on that list just to see more what's going on and be more in touch. So you're welcome to let us know that. Just write us a little note and say, hey, can you put me on the local mailing list as well? And we're happy to do that. I think it does build more connectivity. And then I also wanted to mention that our family camp, which is in July, has filled up for the car camping, but there are still ways to participate by either camping in the area or going to the nearby resort. The YMCA of the Rockies is a beautiful, beautiful place, and very nearby to where we're camping. And so it'd be a way to not have to actually have a bunch of camping equipment, but still come for that time. And the week before that, we're going to have a number of events starting on Tuesday of the week before the family camp. We'll have a hike and a dinner and a kirtan and just different things during the week for people who are coming and want to meet people from Polestar and get to know Fort Collins a little bit and just check out what we're doing. So if you're interested in any of that, you'll hear more about it in the newsletters. Any other questions or comments about anything we've talked about today? And I really apologize to those who are an hour late. Next time, we'll put 5 o'clock Mountain Time, 6 o'clock Pacific Time. What will that be? It'll be 2 o'clock, no, 1 o'clock Hawaii time. On it goes. Eastern time would have been, I guess, 7 o'clock. Yeah, it's sorry we missed you for a bunch of this. All right. Any closing thoughts or comments? And we can let you guys go then. Really appreciate. Oh, Sharon, did you want to say something? You're waving goodbye. All right. Many blessings. Yeah.
Thanks.
Sorry, Michael. So sorry.
No, that's all right. Thanks everyone for being here. Really, really great to see you all. And Have a beautiful evening. Hi, Kelly. I see your picture there. And hope to see you all again soon.
See you soon.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.